What's up, guys? It's been so long since I've done a YouTube video, probably about a year. For people who are new to the channel and just want to get straight to the Elder Scrolls Legends content, I will put a timestamp in the description and comment to let you know exactly when the gameplay starts. But for people who have been subscribed to this channel and may come back to watch this video and wonder where I've been, I'll talk a little bit about that very shortly. TLDR, I bought a house. It took me like 8 months to do the work that was needed on the house. I bought one, like a foreclosed property, needed a bunch of work. I did pretty much all the work myself. Took me about 8 months. Ended up moving in, but I was like kind of working 15 hours a day at that point, and I wanted some just like relaxation time. So I didn't feel like doing YouTube videos. It already had been so long since I stopped doing them anyway. And I didn't really have a game to do either. I was playing some Overwatch in my free time, but like I was only like Diamond, and there's so much better content out there for Overwatch anyway. So when this game came along, I kind of got really addicted to it. And actually, it's been out, and I got an invite to it way back when I was doing my house, but I never really picked it up. And I just kind of jumped into it on a whim. I wanted something new, and I got hyper addicted to it. I put like 100 hours into it the first couple of weeks, and here we are now. And this is Elder Scrolls Legend. I'll talk a little bit about what the game is. It's got some similarities to Hearthstone. Obviously, it is a card game with a similar like Magicka system, mana system, I guess, in Hearthstone. Basically the same concept. There's some key differences. Some things that I personally liked is there is a lot less RNG in this than in Hearthstone. Hearthstone is very heavy on RNG. This game obviously still has some. It's a card game. It's going to have some, but it's way less. I think the skill involved is... skillful players win more often than RNG wins games, I think. Solar Arena is kind of cool when you're first getting into the game. It starts to really become kind of not worth it once you learn the cards and learn the systems, but it is basically an arena system similar to Hearthstone, but it's against the computer AI instead, and they have kind of pre-built constructed decks that you're going to run into different specific kinds of bosses. So that's kind of cool. Versus Arena, the difference is this only goes up to 7 wins instead of, I think, 12. If you get to 7 wins, the rewards are 150 gold or higher, 4 packs, and some gems or extra gold or a card. So I think that the Versus Arena rewards in this game are way better than in Hearthstone. Way better, and that's actually one of the reasons why I got into Constructed in this game. It's because it's so much easier to build a deck, in my opinion. They also, I think once a month or twice a month, they run a versus style thing, but it's a tournament for constructed decks. So you're going to enter one deck, and then you're going to play either up to 9 wins or 3 losses, how that one works. And you can get, again, various rewards. Usually it's going to be upwards of 4 or 5 packs, and 150 gold or higher for like the upper end rewards. And obviously the lower ones are going to be a little bit lower. I think you start to break even around the 3 win mark as well. So that's pretty much Elder Scrolls Legends. There's more to talk about. I mean, you'll see in the game the differences as well, 2-lane system, prophecy system, all that stuff. I won't get too heavily into it because I'm really not sure how many new viewers to this specific game I'm going to have, as opposed to people who already are playing the game. Let's jump into the deck overview of what we're going to be playing. We are going to be doing a bit of a series on my climb to Legend. So we are going to be running this deck right here. So let's jump into this. So this is the deck that I will be running. There might be some changes in the first game because this is I'm going to edit the 2 pieces together, but I wanted to give a deck overview and a little bit of an intro to the video before I jump right into the game. So it is basically a Rage Archer. It's going to be a slightly slower archer. It's been doing really well for me. I'm sitting well into the 60% win rate with this deck. The idea is basically survive through the early game. You're probably not going to get ahead through the early game, but you're going to have cards to survive. You're going to have cards to draw some of your late game. You're going to have cards like this and Astrid to get some contracts to get you into the mana where you can pull off your combos. Towards the end of the game, maybe you'll take some aggression. A lot of the time you'll be up against aggro decks. This deck runs very well, in my opinion, against aggro decks as long as you draw reasonably well. And it's very good against mid-range decks. It's a little bit worse against control decks. Worst matchup being Control Mage, because they don't have that many minions on the board. And it runs good against minions. So you're going to have a lot of slay effects, and you combo that with Rage to pull off some crazy value plays, like if you slay with this and you get like a 4 kill with a rage, you're going to draw 4 cards for 2, and you're going to still have this on the board. So it's basically a 4-for-1 trade, even a 5-for-1 trade because you leave something on the board as well. Similarly, you can combo it with Child of Hurricane with a rage, and if you kill enough things, you can pretty much OTK them off the top. You can also combine all of that stuff with Snaketooth Necklace to give yourself a 50+ drain. You can do just Snaketooth Necklace with Child of Hurricane and like transfer it over with a Shadow Shift and heal, 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 attack face, attack face. This is also comboing with Brotherhood Sanctuary. You only run one of these cards because you never want to have 2 of these supports active at one time. It's not good enough to run more than 1, but this does let you much easier OTK with Child of Hurricane, get your value with the Renegades. There is also 1 Battlefield Scrounger in this deck for a little bit of extra slay. I'm not sure about there. Obviously, you still have the contract slays that you start off in the early game with, and that sometimes does play a factor if you open your hand with this. So it's a pretty cool deck. You'll kind of see how some of the synergies work, but there is quite a bit of synergy, quite a bit that you can do with this deck. And as you learn how to play it better, I definitely think it will perform well for anybody who builds it. It is not the most expensive deck. There are a couple of legendaries. You can cut the Blood Dragon, definitely. Tazcat is pretty key to have. The Giants and the Child of Hurricane are definitely necessary. Rages are necessary. This could be cut, but it is a nice addition. Having the extra lethal is definitely good board control. The Astrid is helpful for the completed contract. So there are some legendaries in the deck that you should have, but Tazcat is used for almost every green deck in the game, so that's definitely like a no-brainer build as well. This is like a Dark Brotherhood card. You don't need it. You could play any other like 4-drop that's reasonably good at catching up. You don't want to have something that you want to have at least 1 card that you can play when you're behind on the board and catch up with. So the 5 health definitely helps you get a 2-for-1 trade if you've lost on the board early. Whereas these cards, this is kind of like you combo this with your rage to get a bunch of healing on turn 11. Unless you can get this to stick, which generally you won't be able to if you're behind. Or you play like Murkwater Shaman if you're already ahead on the board, or like reasonably ahead on the board. You can play this into the Shadow Lane and start to either demand a like Lightning Bolt to come out to remove it, or start to ramp up with your curses, which can catch you back up as well, or like push you over the top. So let's just jump into the gameplay, and you'll see how it works when we get into it. Alright, so you're up against a sorcerer, and the idea of this video series is going to be taking pretty much only this deck up to Legend. I do believe that this deck can do it. Currently I'm sitting at 61% win rate. You see I've only played 36 games up at the top. You can see on the deck tracker. And that was pretty much last season. I played a little bit to get up to rank 4 from 5. But I built this deck around rank 3 or something last season. And I built it with like maybe 2 or 3 hours left in the season. And then I played it a bunch. I got up to rank 2, almost rank 1. And it did really well for me. So I do believe this deck can do it. So if we're against a mid-range sorcerer, and not some crazy like late game ramp shenanigans, we should be favored, at least slightly.
I'll lead my family to glory.
I think this deck's favored against most mid-range. Definitely not favored against any kind of control or like super late game stuff. It's hard for this deck to really get a ton of damage in early against those decks, and we don't have the same strength as they do in the late game. We still can definitely win. It's not, you know, a crazy favored matchup, maybe 40-60 in their favor. Versus like aggro decks, mid-range decks, you're going to be favored against most of all of those. So let's get out the Shaman, start to ramp that up, see what he does. It kind of demands a Lightning Bolt. They generally always have it. I think we probably Spinner. Seems like it's a good play. We have a lot of reach from our hand with the 2 rapid shots. That's annoying. Now I wish I would have rapid shotted the other thing and spinnered this. If we had one more mana, I'd consider like Scrounger plus Rapid Shot. It's not bad.
The day is mine.
Just trade, get this down. It's not going to do a whole lot. We don't have really any synergies at the moment unless we pick something up. I'm not sure about this card. I might sub this out at some point. It's something that I'm trying. Mainly because of like giving Child of Hurricane breakthrough. But I'm not sure if it's necessary for a rage. I'm not sure if it's necessary. Leaf Lurker's a good pickup. I think it gets played. Alright. It's a little annoying. It's not too bad. Probably just lay down our Fighters Guild Recruit. Let's draw, see what we get. Sanctuary Pet's good too. Fighters Guild Recruit does give him some breakthrough damage, but we do already have Snake Tooth and Rage. We really just want something big that we can pair it with. Which, I mean, granted, 4 health up to 5, or 4 attack up to 5 plus a Rage is still good as well. If you get multiple things, I mean, it still heals for a lot. Let's go with that. We don't need to break runes here. We're okay going into the decently late game here with this guy. Ooh, that's really sick. So he might actually be kind of control heavy then.
Let's see your fighting stance.
All of the other cards kind of could have been put into anything. I guess Shadowfen Priest could have been a tip-off that maybe he was playing a more control-heavy thing. But like the Crown Quartermaster, you usually don't run that, I don't think. In ooh, those are 2 rough turns for us. Okay. So we can clear one of the lanes with Fighters Guild Recruit Rage if we want to. Or Mournhold Trader Rage. Leaving this stuff on the board is like so much damage. This does lock it down. I really want to get a heal off of my Rage if I can. Let's see what he does. He's got 8 damage on board. And then he can probably play a couple of things from hand. That's really good for me. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. I'm gonna get a big heal.
This day will be mine.
So I got pretty much all my runes at the moment. Which, you kind of want to draw some from runes, like against decks like this. This is like a little bit closer than I'd like, but we definitely have to heal here. It's unfortunate that he's going to leave one thing on the board. Obviously I trade into it, I get more healing. But we would have liked to have been able to kill it. Alright, so now we're sitting with essentially a 1-card advantage, but those cards are pretty weak. Like that 2/1 guard's never really going to do much. Wow. It's pretty sick. Granted, I've drawn both of my Rages too, so I guess there's that. I also have all of my Snake Tooth necklaces, which is also kind of crazy. I really wish I had something that I could pair this Rage with a little bit better.
If I fall, the Hist will reclaim me.
Just trying to avoid taking a lot of damage. Like, we don't want him to be able to deal that 5 damage directly, because he would have been able to just absorb that with the ward, so. But we still want to set up another healing rage.
Sheol curse you!
It sucks he had 2 back-to-back Atromancers. That's really hard to survive.
It seems Khajiit was outwitted.
He chose that real fast. So this is going to set us up into kind of a weird position. He wanted more breakthrough damage? I guess? That's just odd. Alright, well we have to heal. It's not looking great, but it's winnable still. He has no cards in hand, so I mean, we just have to set up these 2 Snake Tooths reasonably well. So if we Shadow Shifted it, we only kill 2 things. We can't really leave the Atromancer on the board. It's also taking off 10 damage versus taking off 9 damage because the ward wouldn't die unless we Rabbit Shotted it first. And then we take off 11 damage versus 10, but then the Atromancer is still on, so that's probably 2 more damage if he draws a creature. Sucks he got a Prophecy. It might have been the right call to just Shadow Shift and kill off the 4/4. I think surviving maybe was the better option. Then he can only deal 7. It doesn't really help us immediately.
No getting this one. Confound you.
Interesting that he used the Lightning Bolt there instead of trying to set up lethal for next turn. Makes me think he might have something else that damages from hand. At the moment we're dead to anything that does damage from hand.
What have we here?
Okay. I'm still unsure of all of the interactions from Child.
If I fall, the East will reclaim.
I also wish we would have gotten that Fighters Guild Recruit 1 turn earlier, so we got a Gambited, but 1 mana earlier, I should say. Alright, so it saves a little bit more health, but a Bolt still kills us. But yeah, I don't know if I play Child on a turn, and then I Gambit something with 1 health. Do I get an attack? Or do I have to... This was actually something I was wondering about as well. If I'm shackled, it says the first attack you make in a turn doesn't work. Like, that's how Shackle reads. So if I Archer's Gambit the Harpy, do I gain an attack? Otherwise, I'm probably dead, right? Okay, I don't. So that's good to note. I did not know that. So I think we have to draw a Rage, right? It's the only way out. There's 1 left in the deck. It's not super unlikely, we don't have a whole lot of cards left. Oh god. I'm so sorry. Oh no. I have to do it. I'm so sorry.
I must apologize.
Oh man, that's so rough. I should have lost this game. I did learn some things though. I did some things for science. We're probably still gonna win because of that, but like regardless of that. But I did learn you cannot break your own shackle when you're using child, because it says it blocks the first attack, but the slay effect reads as you can attack again. So the fact that you haven't attacked once, I guess, means that you can't attack twice. I guess is how that works. So it's probably the same way as if you drop the Child of Hurricane down and then you Archer's Gambit something with 1 health, or like rage it somehow with some crazy like contracts. You won't get all of those attacks. You have to be able to attack the first time. So it has to live for a turn for it to activate or get charged somehow, which I don't think there's any way to charge it unless you build some weird deck that like shares keywords with Mentor's Ring, or I think there's another one that does it, but that's not really something we can do with this deck. So I learned some stuff that'll help me play the deck a bit better, because I wasn't sure about that interaction. I was actually really curious about that for a while, of how that worked if I got shackled and killed something. I never wanted to really waste a rage to see, but now we know for sure because we raged while being shackled and it didn't work. I know that if you have an attack and you Archer's Gambit something, you'll have 2 attacks, or 3 in the case of having the Brotherhood Sanctuary. Like that works. You don't have to actually slay it with the creature, same as Rage. You can stack up to, you know, like 8 attacks or something crazy if you Rage with Brotherhood Sanctuary on. An OTK with that. Looks like this guy is probably dead, and he's just maybe a little bit salty about the loss. I feel bad. I do. Alright, so barring we don't get a prophecy, we should be fine. We start off with the thing that can get bolted. Alright, I feel bad, but it was a win. A win is a win. I got a little bit lucky, I'm gonna be honest. They don't always get that close. Alright, that's gonna be the first game. We're climbing. I will jump into the next one with you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.